His Excellency, the Chancellor.
I was thinking.
Never, Your Majesty. Was there greater need for thought than now?
That's what I was thinking. Well, what is it? More trouble?
What we might call the old trouble, Your Majesty.
Ah, it is what I was saying last night to the Queen. Uneasy lies the head that wears the crown, was how I put it.
A profound and original thought, which may very well go down to posterity.
Thank you. I hope so. Remind me to tell you sometime of another little thing I said to Her Majesty. Something about a fierce knight beating on a throne. Posterity would like that too. Well, what is it?
It is in the matter of Her Royal Highness's wedding.
Oh, yes.
As you are aware, the Prince Simon has been traveling in distant and dangerous lands, seeking the princess's hand in marriage. He's not...
You mean he has not heard anything?
It is a little difficult to put this tactfully, Your Majesty.
Do your best, and afterwards I will tell you how you got on.
Prince Simon will naturally assume that Her Royal Highness is the customary, so customary as to be, in my own poor opinion, slightly monotonous. He will, of course, naturally assume that she has the usual, so usual as to be, again, in my own opinion, it's almost mechanical. The faultily faultless, icily regular, splendidly...
What you are trying to say is that my daughter is not beautiful.
Her beauty is certainly elusive, Your Majesty.
It is. It has eluded you. It has eluded me. It has eluded everyone who has ever saw her. It even eluded the court painter, whose last words were, "I did my best." His successor is now painting the views across the water meadows on the west turret. He says that his doctors advised him to keep to landscape.
One cannot possibly imagine how this could have happened.
You don't think she takes after me at all? You don't detect a likeness?
Certainly not, Your Majesty.
Good. Your predecessor did.
I've often wondered what became of my predecessor.
Well, now you know.
While the princess is not, strictly speaking, beautiful,
Not truthfully speaking beautiful.
she has a great beauty of character.
My dear Chancellor, we are not considering Her Royal Highness's character, but her chances of getting married. You do observe a distinction.
Certainly, Your Majesty. However, the princess certainly is still the nicest person in the kingdom. With the exception, I need hardly add, of Your Majesty and Her Majesty.
Your exceptions are tolerated for your loyalty and condemned for their extreme fatuity.
Thank you, Your Majesty.
As an adjective for your king, the word nice is ill-chosen. As an adjective for Her Majesty, it is ill-chosen.
Come from Camilla.
As always, my dear, you are right.
This fellow Simon, what's he like?
No one has seen him, Your Majesty.
How old is he?
He is 5 and 20.
In 25 years, he must have been seen by somebody.
Only a fleeting glimpse.
What I meant to say, Your Majesty, is that no detailed report has reached the kingdom, save for the usual qualities expected of a prince.
Nothing gone wrong with his eyes, sunstroke or anything.
Not that I'm aware of, Your Majesty. As was venturing to say to His Majesty, Her Royal Highness's character is so outstandingly...
Stuff and nonsense. You remember what happened when we had the Tournament of Love last year?
I was not myself present. I was abroad, and well, I was not there to see it.
No, it was the other fool. They all rode up with Camilla. It was the first time they had seen her. The heralds blew their trumpets and announced that she would marry whichever prince was left to master in the field. When all but one had been unhorsed, they charged enthusiastically to fight and... Don't do that!
I'm sorry, my dear.
And what happened? They all fell off their horses at once and assumed a posture of defeat.
One of them was not quite as quick as the others. I was very quick. I proclaimed him the victor.
At the feast of betrothal held that night,
We were all very quick.
the chancellor announced that by the law of the country, the successful suitor had to pass a further test. He had to give the correct answer to a riddle.
Such undoubtedly is a fact, Your Majesty.
There are times for announcing facts, and times for looking at things in a broad-minded way. Please remember that, Chancellor.
Certainly, Your Majesty.
I'm into the riddle myself, quite the easy one. What is which has 4 legs and barks like a dog? The answer is a dog.
You see that?
Yes, Your Majesty.
It isn't difficult.
He, however, seemed to find it so. He said the eagle, then he said a serpent, a very high mountain, slippery side, 2 peacocks, a moonlit night, and the dare for tomorrow.
Nobody could accuse him of not trying.
I did.
What I should have said is nobody could fail to recognize in his attitude an appearance of doggedness.
Finally, he said that I nudged the king.
Accepting the word nudge for the moment, I rubbed my ankle with one hand, and clapping his shoulder with the other, I congratulated him on the correct answer. He disappeared underneath the table, and personally, I never saw him again.
His body was found in the boat the next morning.
But what, Your Majesty, was he doing?
Bobbing about. Try not to ask needless questions.
What? But what, Your Majesty, back to the topic of Her Royal Highness's wedding. What about, back to that topic, what about that?
It was a great Aunt Malkin. What did she say?
It was cryptic. Great Aunt Malkin's besetting weakness. She came to my christening. She was 101 then. That was 51 years ago. How old would that make her?
152, Your Majesty.
About that, yes. She promised me that when I grew older, I would have all the happiness which my wife deserved. It struck me at the time, well, when I say at the time, it struck me as well as anything could strike me, of that nature. Figure it out for yourself, Chancellor. Though it did bring up an interesting field of speculation. Though naturally I did not want to go into it all deeply with Her Majesty.
I never heard anything less cryptic. She was wishing you extreme happiness.
I don't think she was wishing me anything, however.
But what, Your Majesty, did she wish Her Royal Highness?
Her, the godmother of my side of the family, wished her the death and beauty which all the men of my family are famous.
But certainly, Your Majesty.
What did Great Aunt Malkin say again?
I give you with this kiss a wedding day surprise. Where ignorance is bliss, 'tis folly to be wise. I thought those last 2 lines were rather neat, but what it meant?
We can all see what it meant. She was given extreme beauty, and where is it? Great Aunt Malkin took it away. The wedding day surprise is that there'll never be a wedding day.
Young men being what they are, my dear, it would be much more surprising if there were to be a wedding day. So how...
Hello, darling. Oh, okay. Affairs of state. Sorry.
Camilla, don't go.
Your Majesty, shall I withdraw?
Camilla, you are aware that Prince Simon arrives today.
He has arrived. We're just letting down the drawbridge now.
Arrived! I must!
Darling, you know what the drawbridge is like. It takes at least half an hour to let down.
It wants oil. Have you been grudging it oil?
It wants a new drawbridge, darling.
Your Majesty, if I have permission...
Yes, yes.
You've told him, of course.
No. I was going to when...
Then you better tell him now. You've told the girl, I'll have her sent to you. Have you talked to Camilla?
No. I was going to when...
Then you better tell her now.
My dear, are you sure?
It's the last chance.
Camilla, I want to talk to you seriously about marriage.
Yes, Father.
It is time you learned some of the facts of life.
Yes, Father.
Now, the great fact about marriage is that once you are married, you live happy ever after. All of our history books affirm this.
And your own experience too, darling.
Let us confine ourselves to history for the moment.
Yes, Father.
Of course, there are some exceptions here and there that, as it were, proves the rule. Just as, oh, well, never mind.
Go on, darling. You're going to say that there's an exception here and there. That proves the rule that all princesses are beautiful.
Well, leave that for the moment. The point is that it doesn't matter why you get married or who you marry, as long as you get married. Because you will live happy ever after in any case. Do you follow me so far?
Yes, Father.
Well, your mother and I have a little plan.
Was that it, going out the door just now?
Yes. It concerns your waiting maid.
Darling, I have several.
Only one that leaps to the eye, so to speak. The one with the, well, with everything.
Dulcibella?
That's the one. It is our plan that during the first meeting, she should pass herself off as the princess, a harmless ruse of which you will find frequent record in the history books. And to lure Prince Simon up to the, that is so to say, bring him up to his, the point is that he, the point is that the wedding must be quickly and as quietly as possible. In view of the fact that your great Aunt Malkin is 152, and since you'll be wearing the family bridal veil, which is no doubt how the custom arose, the surprise at the end of the ceremony will be all his. Are you following me all? Your attention seems to be wandering.
I was just wondering why you needed to tell me.
Just a precautionary measure in case you happen to meet the prince or his attendant before the actual ceremony. In which case, of course, you will pass yourself off as the waiting maid.
A harmless ruse of which you will find frequent record in history books.
Exactly. That occasion need not arise.
The lady Dulcibella?
Ah! Now, Camilla, if you will only retire yourself to your own apartments, I will come to you there when we are ready for the actual ceremony. Come in, my dear. Now, don't be frightened. There is nothing to be frightened about. Has Her Majesty told you what you have to do?
Yes, Your Majesty.
Well, then, let's see how well you can do it. You will be sitting here, we will say. Now imagine that I am Prince Simon. You are the beautiful Princess Camilla, whom he has never seen. This is an important point in your life, and you will find that giggling will not be helpful. I am to be announced, His Royal Highness Prince Simon. That is me being announced. Now remember what I said about the giggling. You must have a faraway look upon your face. Farther than that? No, that is too far away. You will be sitting there, thinking beautiful thoughts, in maiden meditation, fancy-free. As I remember saying to Her Majesty once, speaking of somebody else, fancy-free, but with the mouth definitely shut. That's better. Now, I advance upon one knee. You must, and you extend your hand graciously. Graciously. You're not trying to push him in the face. That's better. And he will take your hand so, and he will kiss it. No, perhaps not as ardently as that. More like this. And he will say, Your Royal Highness, this this shall ever be. Your Royal Highness, this is the most. No. Your Royal Highness, it is the proudest. The point is that he will say it and it will be something complimentary. And then he will take your hand, both of his, and press it to his heart. And then, what will you say?
Coo.
No, not coo.
Never had anyone do that to me before.
That also strikes the wrong note. What you want to say is, "Oh, Prince Simon, say it."
Oh, Prince Simon!
No, no, no. You don't want to shout it until he has said "what" 2 or 3 times. Always consider the possibility that he isn't deaf. Softly, and giving the words a dying fall, as if they were a flock of doves playing around in his head.
Oh, Prince Simon!
Keep the idea in your mind of a flock of doves, rather than a flock of panic-stricken elephants. And you will do all right. Now, I must get up, and you must, as it were, waft me into a seat by your side. No, no, no. You are not trying to rescue a drowning man. That is another idea altogether. Important at times, but at the moment, inappropriate. Wafted, Prince Simon will put the necessary muscles into play. All you require to do is to indicate by a gracious gesture of the hand where you require him to take a seat. That's better. Well, here we are. Now, I think you give me a look. Something we will say halfway between the breathless adoration of a nun and the voluptuous abandonment of a woman of the world. With an undertone of regal dignity, touched, as it were, with a good comradeship. Now try that. Frankly, that didn't quite get it. There was just a little something missing. An absence, as it were, of all the qualities I asked for. And in their place, a resemblance of an unsatisfied fish. Let's try and get at it another way. Dulcibella, you have a young man of your own.
Oh, yes. He's very smart. He's an archer. Well, one might not say a real archer. He works in the armory. But old Bell knows, you know who I mean. The captain of the guards is the very next man that ever has to shoot. My egg shall take his place. Knowing father and how it is egging me, for me being the age of her Royal Highness, and can't marry till he's a real soldier, but ever so loving and funny like. The things he says to me. I said to him once, egg.
I rather fancy, Dulcibella, that if you think of egg all the time, speak as little as possible, and when thinking of egg, make sure that the mouth is not more than partially open, you will do very well. Now, get up, and I'm going to show you where you must sit and wait on His Royal Highness. Now remember, waft, waft, not hoik.
Well, oh, hello. Are you? Do sit down, won't you? Who are you and how did you get here? Well, that's rather a long story. Couldn't we sit down? Sit down here if you like. It isn't very comfortable.
That's the king's throne.
How is that what it is?
Thrones aren't meant to be comfortable.
Well, I don't know if they're meant to be, but they certainly aren't.
Who are you and why are you on the king's throne?
My name is Carlo.
Mine is Dulcibella.
Good. And now couldn't you sit down?
You may sit here if you like. Why are you so tired?
I've been taking part in very strenuous exercise.
Is that part of the long story?
It is.
I love stories.
Well, it isn't a story, really. You see, I'm an attendant on Prince Simon, who's visiting here.
Oh, I'm attendant to Her Royal Majesty.
Then you know what he's here for.
Yes.
She's very beautiful, I hear.
Have you heard that? Where have you been lately?
Traveling in distant lands. With Prince Simon.
Ah. All the same, I don't understand. Is he in the palace? The drawbridge can't be down yet.
I don't suppose it is. I want to noise it makes me now.
Isn't it terrible?
I couldn't stand it any longer. I just had to get away. That's why I'm here.
But how?
Well, there's only one way, isn't there? That beech tree, gonna leap and grab for the battlements. Don't ask me to remember it all.
You mean, you came across the moat by the beech tree?
Yes, I got so tired of painting back.
But isn't it terribly dangerous?
That's why I'm so exhausted. Nervous shock.
Of course, it's different for me.
You don't mean that you.
Oh, yes, often.
And I thought I was a brave man. At least I did 5 minutes ago. And now I don't again.
Oh, but you are. And I think it's so wonderful you did it straight off the first time.
Well, you do.
No, not the first time. When I was a child.
You mean that you crashed?
Well, you only fall into the moat.
Only? Can you swim?
Of course.
So you swam to the castle walls and yelled for help, and they fished you out and walloped you. And the next day you tried again. Well, if that isn't love.
Of course I didn't. I swam back and I did it again at once. Well, I tried it again at once. It wasn't until the third time that I actually did it. See, I was afraid I might lose my nerve.
Afraid you might lose your nerve.
There's a way to get across from this side, too. There's a tree that grows out from the wall. You can jump from it to another tree. Although, I don't think it's quite so easy.
Not quite so easy. Good. You must show me.
Oh, I will.
Perhaps it'd be better if you taught me how to swim first. I've often heard about swimming, but never...
You can't swim?
No? Don't be so surprised. There are a lot of things which I can do. I'll tell you all about them as soon as a couple years to spare.
You can't swim, and yet you cross the moat by the beech tree. And you're ever so much heavier than I am. Now who's brave?
Keep talking about how light you are. Let's see if there's anything to do. Stand up. You're right, Dulcibella. I could hold you here forever. You're very lovely. Do you know how lovely you are?
Yes.
Why did you laugh?
Oh, aren't you tired of holding me?
Frankly, yes. See, I exaggerated when I said I could hold you here forever. You wouldn't hang over the moat for 10 minutes, wondering if it's too late to learn how to swim. Well, what I meant to say is I would like to hold you here forever. Why did you laugh?
Oh, it's a private joke of mine.
Well, if it comes to that, I've got a private joke too. Let's exchange.
Mine's very private. Only one other woman in the whole world knows, and that's all.
Mine's just as private. Only one man in the whole world knows, and that's all.
Oh, what fun. Well, here's mine. When I was born, one of my godmothers told me that I should be very beautiful.
How right she was.
But the other one said this: I give you with this kiss a wedding day surprise, where ignorance is bliss, 'tis folly to be wise. And nobody knew what it meant, and I grew up very plain. Till one day, when I was about 10, I met my godmother in the forest. It was my 10th birthday. Nobody knows this except you.
Except us.
Except us. She told me what her gift meant. It meant that I was very beautiful, but everyone would go on being ignorant and thinking me plain until my wedding day, of course. She said she didn't want me to grow up being spoilt, willful, and vain. Everything I should have been if I had been called beautiful my whole life. She said the best thing was to be quite sure of yourself and to not need admiration from others. So since that day, my mirror has told me I'm beautiful, while everyone else telling me I'm ugly. And I do get quite a lot of fun out of it.
Well, seeing Dulcibella is the result, I can say that your godmother was very, very wise.
And now tell me your secret.
Well, mine's not quite as pretty. See, Prince Simon wanted to woo Princess Camilla, and he had heard that she's beautiful, and imperious, and haughty, all things you would admit if your godmother hadn't been so wise. And being quite an ordinary-looking fellow himself, he was quite afraid that she wouldn't think much of him. So he suggested to one of his men, a man named Carlo, of extremely attractive appearance, that he should pretend to be the prince and try to win the princess's hand. And at the last moment, they would switch places.
How would they do that?
Prince would be married in full armor, with visor down.
Oh, what fun.
Neat, isn't it?
Oh, very, very.
Neat. But not so terribly fun. Why do you laugh?
Oh, well, that's another secret.
Well, if it comes to that, I've got another one up my sleeve. Let's exchange again.
All right. You go first this time.
Well, I'm not Carlo. I'm Prince Simon. Ow!
Are you all right?
Cramp.
Should I rub it for you?
I'm Simon.
Is that better?
I'm Simon.
Yes, I know.
How do you know?
Well, you told me.
Aren't you in a swoon or something?
Why? History records many similar ruses.
Is that so? I've never read much history. I thought I was being profoundly original.
Oh, no. Well, here's mine. For reasons much like your own, the Princess Camilla, who is held to be extremely plain, feared to meet Prince Simon. Is the drawbridge down yet?
Do your people give a faint surprise cry every time it comes down?
Naturally.
And it came down around 3 minutes ago.
Well then, right now, your man Carlo is declaring his passionate love for my maid, Dulcibella. That, I think, is very funny. Dulcibella, by the way, is in love with a man she calls Ed. So I hope Carlo isn't getting carried away.
Carlo is married to a girl he calls the Little Woman. So Ed has nothing to fear.
By the way, I don't know if you heard, but I said, or as well said, that I'm Princess Camilla.
I'm not surprised. History, which I read a great deal, records many similar
Simon.
Oh, Camilla.
You see, earlier, when you held me up, you told me how lovely I was. And my godmother told me the first man to whom I should seem lovely is the man I should marry. So I knew right then that you were Simon and that I should marry you.
From the moment I saw you, I knew I should marry you, even if you weren't Dulcibella. By the way, which one of you am I marrying?
When she lifts her veil, it will be Camilla. Until then, it will be Dulcibella.
Goodbye, Camilla, until you lift your veil.
Goodbye, Simon, until you raise your visor.
Careful!
Who and what is this? More importantly, who and what are all these?
My attendant Carlo, Your Majesty, if you will, Your Majesty. Prepare me for the ceremony.
Of course, of course.
My maid is not Dulcibella? I thought so. She will assist Her Royal Highness in the wedding.
Ah, yes, yes, most important.
Forgive me if I've done wrong, sir, but I saw this man wandering and...
Quite right, my dear, quite right. We pulled it off.
Have I Your Majesty's permission to administer the final test to His Royal Highness?
Is this safe?
Perfectly, my dear. I told him the answer a minute ago. Remember, dog. You may proceed, Your Excellency. It is my desire that the affairs of my country should ever be conducted in a strictly constitutional manner.
By the Constitution of the country, a suitor to Her Royal Highness's hand cannot be deemed successful until he has given the correct answer to a riddle. The last suitor answered incorrectly and thus failed to win his bride.
By coincidence, he fell into the moat.
It is interesting to recall that this riddle was propounded exactly a century ago. We must take it as a well and fortunate omen that it was truly solved.
I may want my sword directly.
I have now to ask if you are prepared for the ordeal.
Absolutely.
The riddle is this. What is it that stands on four legs and mews like a cat?
A dog.
Bravo, bravo.
The answer would seem to be not dog.
Say something, quick!
Your Majesty, have I permission to speak? Naturally, His Royal Highness could not think of justifying himself on such an occasion. I think, Your Majesty's gracious permission, I could.
Certainly, certainly.
In our country, we have an animal to which we have been given the name dog, or in the local dialect, more mountainous districts, doggy, sits by the fireside and purrs.
Purrs like anything.
When it wants milk, which is its staple food, it meows.
Meows like nobody's business.
It has four legs.
One in each corner.
In some countries, we understand this animal has been given the name cat. And in one country which His Royal Highness not penetrated, it was given the very curious name of hippopotamus.
That's huge. Do you remember that ginger pillar who used to climb on my shoulder and lick my ear?
She'll never forget it, sir. So you see, Your Majesty.
Thank you. I think you have made it perfectly clear. You are about to agree.
May I be the first to congratulate His Royal Highness on answering the riddle so accurately.
You may be the first to see that all is in order for an immediate wedding.
It will be done.
Doubtless, Prince Simon, you will wish to retire and prepare yourself for the actual ceremony.
Thank you.
Your Majesty, have I permission to attend His Royal Highness? It is the custom of his country for the princes of the royal blood to be married in full armor, a matter which requires a certain adjustment.
Of course, of course.
Your Majesty is ever gracious.
Young man, you have a quality of quickness which I admire. It would be my pleasure to reward it in any way that commends itself to you.
Thank you, Your Majesty. May I ask my reward after the ceremony?
Certainly. Now, young woman, you have done your work excellently. Now you must make yourself scarce. And we'll make sure that you and your... What was his name again?
Egg, Your Majesty.
That you and your egg will not be forgotten.
Wait for me, Josabella.
Well, my dear, we may congratulate ourselves. As I remember saying to somebody once, you have not lost a daughter, you have gained a son. How does he strike you?
Stupid.
They were both very handsome, I thought. He and Dulcibella.
Both stupid.
I said nothing about stupidity. What I said is they were both very handsome. That is what is most important. Or is it?
Camilla, what do you think of Prince Simon?
I adore him. We shall be so happy together.
Of course you will. I told you so. Happy ever after.
Run along now. Get ready.
Yes, Mother.
My dear, have we been wrong about Camilla all this time? She seemed that she didn't look quite as plain as usual. Did you notice anything?
Just the excitement of the marriage.
Ah, yes. That would account for it.